And when they asked me to do an impression for the hands, I did the impression. And I didn't even question, I just left it alone.
This clip was ignored for years, until now. After 50 Cent weighed in, fans started noticing details that don't add up. What looks like a harmless moment may actually explain a lot about Jay-Z's inner circle, and why this footage is suddenly resurfacing. The resurfaced footage that broke the internet. The clip in question features a mid-2000s concert performance, a moment captured on film that, for years and years, existed in relative obscurity, floating around in the archives of hip-hop history before suddenly and dramatically exploding across social media platforms in late 2024 and early 2025. The footage shows 50 Cent jumping on stage during a performance, running in circles around Jay-Z and other artists while hyping up the crowd. T.I. can be seen serving as the hype man, his energy infectious as he works the crowd. Kanye West is there performing, adding yet another layer of star power to what was already an absolutely stacked lineup. And there's an energy in that room, a palpable tension and electricity that defies easy explanation or simple categorization. But here's where things get truly, genuinely fascinating in a way that has captivated millions of viewers across the globe. As this vintage clip began circulating on X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and virtually every other social media platform you can imagine, viewers started noticing details that had previously escaped attention entirely. The comment sections across these platforms became absolute hotbeds of interpretation, analysis, and speculation, with users pointing out specific moments and gestures that seemed to carry weight far, far beyond simple concert antics or performance energy.
Look, when Jay signed his contract, the big one was with Beyonce.
One ex-user, whose post went absolutely and undeniably viral across the platform, captured the collective bewilderment perfectly in a way that resonated with hundreds of thousands of people. Museum Jamila wrote, 50 Cent is absolutely insane. How the fuck did he get this footage? This sentiment, this expression of pure shock and disbelief, was echoed across thousands upon thousands of retweets and comments, with people genuinely struggling to understand how this particular piece of hip-hop history had remained hidden for so long, and perhaps more importantly, why it was surfacing now, at this specific moment in time, amid everything else happening in the culture. The footage itself runs approximately 2 minutes and 17 seconds in its most commonly shared form, and within that relatively brief window of time, you witness something that defies easy categorization or simple explanation. Subtitles added to viral versions of the clip note that 50 disrespects the rock symbol while running circles, a detail that conspiracy theorists and hip-hop historians alike have seized upon with remarkable, almost obsessive enthusiasm in their quest to decode what exactly transpired on that stage. But what exactly are we looking at here when we watch this footage? Is this simply a moment of competitive energy between two of New York's most formidable and accomplished rappers? Is it a calculated display of dominance, a power move designed to establish psychological superiority? Or, as some have suggested with increasing conviction, is there something deeper happening here? Something more symbolic occurring in plain sight that most viewers fail to recognize until now? The answers to these questions, if answers even exist in any definitive form, require us to journey back in time, to understand the intricate and complicated history that connects these two titans of hip-hop, and to appreciate just how much weight every gesture, every movement, every seemingly innocuous coincidence carries within the culture they helped create and define. You see, the relationship between Jay-Z and 50 Cent represents one of the most fascinating, enduring, and complicated dynamics in the entire history of hip-hop music. The rivalry between these two New York rappers spans over 2 decades, built on a foundation of diss tracks, public jabs, business competition, and, paradoxically, a mutual recognition of each other's undeniable talent and cultural significance that neither man has ever fully been able to dismiss. The feud ignited all the way back in 1999 when 50 Cent, then an underground artist struggling desperately to break through the industry's gatekeepers, released a track called How to Rob. This wasn't just any song. It was a deliberately provocative, strategically controversial piece that humorously outlined how 50 would hypothetically rob various famous rappers, including Jay-Z himself. Lines from the track caught Jay-Z's attention in a way that couldn't be ignored or brushed aside, setting the stage for what would become a decades-long back and forth that continues to this very day. Jay-Z's response came at Hot 97's Summer Jam in 2001, where he delivered a now legendary freestyle that included the devastating, dismissive line, "I'm about $1. What the fuck is 50 Cent?" This wasn't just a casual dismissal or a throwaway bar. It was a public diminution of everything 50 Cent represented represented, reducing his very name, his very identity, to a statement of worthlessness in the eyes of the hip-hop establishment and the culture at large. But here's the thing about 50 Cent that everyone who's followed his career with any attention whatsoever understands at a fundamental level. He doesn't back down. Not from street violence that nearly took his life in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. Not from industry gatekeepers who tried relentlessly to shut him out and silence his voice. And certainly not from lyrical challenges issued by fellow New York rappers, regardless of their stature, their success, or their cultural influence. After surviving a near-fatal shooting in 2000, 9 bullets that would have ended most people's stories permanently and definitively, 50 signed with Eminem's Shady Records in 2002, gaining the mainstream platform and industry backing he needed to truly go head-to-head with the established powers of hip-hop on something approaching equal footing. By the mid-2000s, precisely when the footage we're discussing was captured and preserved for posterity, the rivalry had escalated beyond mere lyrical sparring into something more complex and consequential. In 2003, 50 Cent dropped Back Down on his landmark album Get Rich or Die Trying, a track that targeted J. Rule primarily, but carried unmistakable indirect shots at Jay-Z's entire circle and business operations.
It's your and Jay's issue.
It's just competitive stuff.
It's really just competitive.
This is what I'm saying. When it gets past actual art, like actual music, and you're trying to block something that's in business, then it feels weird.
This is the environment, the atmosphere of tension and competition in which that concert footage was filmed and captured. This is the underlying current of rivalry that permeated every single interaction between these two artists during that era. And this is precisely why, when you watch 50 Cent literally running circles around Jay-Z on that stage, you're not simply watching a performer getting the crowd hyped up and energized. You're witnessing a physical manifestation of psychological warfare, a symbolic assertion of dominance played out in front of thousands of witnesses. Another viral clip shows 50 Cent entering a venue full of rappers he's feuded with, Ja Rule, Fat Joe, and numerous others, with an almost supernatural confidence. The footage runs approximately 26 seconds, barely half a minute, but within that brief window, you see something absolutely remarkable. A man walking into openly hostile territory as though he owns it completely, as though the danger surrounding him is merely an inconvenience rather than a genuine threat. For those analyzing these clips through a more speculative, conspiratorial lens, the imagery becomes even more loaded with potential meaning and significance. Some have interpreted 50's circling movement as symbolic dominance, with theorists suggesting the action evokes occult summoning or binding spells. Whether you subscribe to such interpretations or dismiss them entirely as overreaching fantasy disconnected from reality, the fact remains that millions of people are watching this footage and asking questions that would have seemed absolutely absurd just a few short years ago. A Call Mediva 405 captured the general mood perfectly. 50 Cent been a menace he got on stage and ran circles around Jay-Z. And perhaps that's the most accurate and honest assessment of what we're witnessing in this footage. 50 Cent being exactly what he's always been throughout his entire career. A menace, a provocateur, a disruptor who refuses categorically to play by anyone else's rules or conform to anyone else's expectations. But as we're about to see in the second part of our exploration, this footage didn't resurface in a vacuum or emerge randomly without context. It appeared at a specific moment amid specific circumstances, and its reappearance has become entangled with much larger narratives that are currently reshaping how we understand the upper echelons of hip-hop power and influence. The empire, the symbol, and the conspiracy. Now that we've established the historical foundation of the rivalry between these two New York Titans, now that we understand the context of competition and conflict that defined their relationship for decades, we need to address something that has followed Jay-Z throughout his entire remarkable career, something that has become so thoroughly intertwined with his public image that it's virtually impossible to discuss his legacy without at least acknowledging its existence and its persistent influence on public perception. Now let's talk about the conspiracy theories that have surrounded him for nearly 2 decades now. Specifically, I'm talking about the Illuminati accusations that have swirled around Sean Carter for the better part of 20 years. Allegations that frame his meteoric, seemingly impossible rise to billionaire status as something other than the result of exceptional talent, shrewd business acumen, and relentless work ethic applied consistently over decades. Jay-Z has long been a target of conspiracy theories, alleging his involvement in the Illuminati, a supposed secret society controlling global events and the entertainment industry. These claims did didn't emerge from nowhere, didn't materialize out of thin air. They're rooted in specific choices Jay-Z has made, specific imagery he's employed, and specific patterns that critics and conspiracy theorists have seized upon as evidence of something hidden beneath the surface of his public persona. The most prominent piece of supposed evidence that theorists point to again and again, the rock symbol itself, the hand gesture that has become synonymous with Jay-Z's entire brand and business empire. The rock symbol, often referred to as the diamond or rock hand sign, is a gesture formed by placing the hands together to create a triangular shape resembling a diamond. It has become absolutely synonymous with Jay-Z and his entire business empire, from the original Rockefeller Records to the current Roc Nation enterprise that spans music, sports management, and entertainment. The sign is made by touching the thumbs and index fingers of both hands while extending the other fingers outward, visually evoking a precious gemstone that represents success, wealth, and achievement. Now, here's where understanding the actual documented origin of this symbol becomes absolutely essential to our discussion, because what conspiracy theorists claim about this gesture and what Jay-Z himself has explained repeatedly about its creation are two fundamentally, irreconcilably different stories that cannot both be true. Rockefeller Records was co-founded in 1994-1995 by Sean Jay-Z Carter, Damon Dame Dash, and Kareem Biggs Burke as an independent label to release Jay-Z's music after major labels rejected him repeatedly. The name Rockefeller is a deliberate, intentional play on Rockefeller, referencing John D. Rockefeller, the American industrialist who built one of the world's greatest fortunes through Standard Oil in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The symbolism embedded in that name was intentional and completely transparent. These were young men from the streets of New York who were going to build their own empire, their own dynasty, their own legacy, independent of the gatekeepers who had dismissed them and their potential. Rock itself doubles as slang for rock, meaning a diamond or something unbreakable, tying directly into themes of durability, luxury, and permanence that would define hip-hop's aesthetic for decades to come. The hand sign's origins trace back to 1996, when Rockefeller signed the R&B duo Christian, Ken Gold, and Alan Anthony, their first non-rap act. Jay-Z and the team genuinely believed Christian would achieve diamond status, the prestigious music industry certification for selling 10 million album units, a benchmark that represents the absolute pinnacle of commercial success. To promote this ambitious vision, they began using the diamond gesture at live shows and promotional events, encouraging crowds to mimic it and spread the symbol. Jay-Z himself addressed this directly and unambiguously in a 2023 CBS Mornings interview with Gayle King, where he laid out the innocent, purely promotional roots of the gesture with characteristic matter-of-factness and directness.
Yeah, because you got all that in the music for $10.99. That's a bad deal. I wouldn't tell you to cut a bad deal. Like,
I don't
take
know.
the $500,000, go buy some albums and listen to the albums.
Christian's debut album, Ghetto Cyrano, 1997, featured hits like Full of Smoke, but peaked at number 23 on Billboard's top R&B hip-hop albums chart, falling considerably short of diamond sales. Despite this commercial disappointment, the sign transcended the group it was created for and became a broader emblem for Rockefeller's success and identity, especially as Jay-Z's own albums propelled the label to mainstream fame and cultural dominance. But for conspiracy theorists, none of this documented context matters whatsoever. The triangular form has fueled Illuminati conspiracy theories since the early 2000s, with claims it represents the all-seeing eye, or pyramid, from the US dollar bill, implying Jay-Z's secret involvement in a shadowy society, supposedly controlling entertainment and global affairs from behind the scenes. These rumors peaked around 2010-2015, linking Jay-Z, Beyonce, and numerous other celebrities to occult rituals performed in exchange for fame and success. Theorists point obsessively to tracks like Devils or Lucifer as veiled admissions of occult practices, interpreting them as evidence of satanic rituals or supernatural pacts for success that defy conventional explanation. And this is precisely where 50 Cent enters the picture in a way that has dramatically and undeniably amplified these narratives beyond what they might otherwise have achieved. 50 Cent has fueled these narratives through his ongoing feud with Jay-Z, using social media platforms to share AI-generated videos, exaggerated caricatures, and cryptic posts implying hidden scandals. His posts consistently hint at disturbing evidence of secretive dealings involving Jay-Z, keeping the rumors alive and thriving in the public imagination in ways that more traditional media coverage simply cannot match. Ujocoms noted in a widely shared observation, is 50 Cent reigniting his long-running feud with Jay-Z? 50 Cent has stirred the pot once again, posting an exaggerated caricature of Jay-Z on Instagram, another jab in a rivalry that has stretched across 2 decades. But here's what truly set the internet ablaze in recent months and elevated this story to an entirely different level of cultural significance. In 2025, 50 Cent executive produced a Netflix documentary series, which has sparked renewed interest in alleged Jay-Z tapes. These rumored recordings are claimed to include hidden camera footage from private events, allegedly revealing secretive ceremonies with elaborate costumes, occult symbols, and power dynamics used for leverage and control in elite circles. 50 reportedly fought aggressively to include a segment on these alleged tapes in episode 4 of the documentary, but Netflix ultimately removed it due to legal risks and liability concerns. Insiders like Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal, a former bodyguard with direct industry experience, have described content allegedly exposing ritualistic gatherings disguised as luxury parties involving offerings, oaths, and manipulation deployed systematically for industry control and influence. When asked directly about his access to exclusive footage and how he obtained material that others couldn't, 50 demonstrated his characteristic refusal to reveal sources while maintaining an air of mystery about what else might eventually surface. 50 Cent has teased a separate Jay-Z documentary, posting on Instagram that he possesses footage and hinting repeatedly at revelations bigger than previous scandals. This aligns perfectly with his established pattern of strategically unloading hidden details, including provocative claims that Jay-Z models his public image after certain cultural figures and uses marriage and business ties strategically to accumulate awards and industry recognition.
When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those fucking trophies, trophies came rolling in, buddy. He started getting Grammys left and right, man.
This provocative claim that Jay-Z's Grammy success accelerated dramatically and conspicuously after his marriage to Beyonce has become a persistent, frequently cited talking point in conversations about industry power dynamics and how success is manufactured at the highest levels.
So you're saying the success is derived from the marriage?
I've absolutely been treated differently.
The accolades. Because he's no longer viewed as like a street or gangster rapper. Now he's viewed as a businessman, entrepreneur, family man.
For the official record, which should be stated clearly and unambiguously, Jay-Z has repeatedly debunked Illuminati accusations, calling the theories stupid and idiotic, emphasizing the sign's mundane origins in music promotion and branding. Affiliates and collaborators like Kanye West have echoed that such claims are ridiculous and disconnected from reality. The Pyramid Association is fundamentally a misinterpretation. The sign's shape is explicitly meant to represent a diamond, not an eye-topped pyramid associated with secret societies. Historians who study conspiracy movements note that modern Illuminati myths stem from 18th century Bavarian secret societies but were dramatically exaggerated in 1960s counterculture and 1990s books, with no credible evidence tying celebrities like Jay-Z to them. But regardless of where you personally stand on these theories, whether you dismiss them entirely as the overactive imaginations of internet sleuths with too much time on their hands, or believe genuinely that there's smoke where there's fire, the undeniable reality is that they have become an inextricable, permanent part of how Jay-Z is perceived by millions of people worldwide. And the resurfaced footage of 50 Cent running circles around him on that stage all those years ago, it has become yet another data point in an ever-expanding constellation of supposed evidence, interpreted and reinterpreted through whatever lens the individual viewer brings to the material. The aftermath and what it means for hip-hop's future. As legal troubles around certain hip-hop moguls dominate headlines and capture public attention, new conspiracy videos about Jay-Z and Beyonce are flooding YouTube and going viral at remarkable rates. The algorithm itself has become a megaphone for speculation, amplifying clips and theories that might have languished in total obscurity just a few short years ago, but now reach millions of viewers within hours of being posted. 50 Cent, ever the opportunist when it comes to maintaining cultural relevance and staying in the conversation, has positioned himself strategically as both prosecutor and comedian in this unfolding drama. His Instagram account has become a clearinghouse for cryptic posts, trolling memes, and pointed questions that keep him squarely at the center of conversations he probably shouldn't even be adjacent to. Yet here he is, undeniably relevant.
You're not worried that if you throw little and you don't throw out allegations, but like you kind of poke fun at them.
You just ask questions.
You're not worried that it comes back your way? Like people dig up your past and try to pull stuff up?
I don't got that shit in my past.
This is vintage 50 Cent, operating at peak effectiveness, the calculated provocateur who knows exactly how to stay relevant while maintaining plausible deniability about his intentions. He's not making direct accusations that could expose him to legal liability. He's asking questions. He's not claiming definitively to have evidence. He's suggesting that others might. The distinction is legally important for his protection and strategically brilliant for his continued relevance. When pressed about whether he's concerned about potential backlash or retaliation for his persistent trolling, 50's response was characteristically direct and self-assured in a way that only he can pull off.
If you don't speak out and make them the weirdos, then they're gonna think everybody's like that.
Every single person is like that involved in hip hop culture.
This framing is particularly clever and worth examining closely. By positioning himself as a defender of hip-hop's overall reputation, someone willing to call out bad actors specifically to protect the culture's image as a whole, 50 transforms his trolling into something that almost resembles public service. Whether you buy this justification as sincere or view it as convenient cover for pursuing personal grudges, the rhetorical strategy is undeniably effective at accomplishing its goals. The broader impact of all this activity extends far beyond the specific personalities involved in this particular conflict. The rivalry has influenced hip-hop culture significantly, highlighting themes of competition, loyalty, and entrepreneurship that define the genre's relationship with capitalism and success. Both men have amassed considerable fortunes, Jay-Z as a billionaire through diverse ventures spanning music, sports, alcohol, and technology, 50 through music, television production, and branding, with their respective business empires serving as competing models for what success in hip-hop can look like. Their competition extended beyond music into brands and business ventures. 50's vitamin water deal, sold for $100 million plus in 2007, rivaled Jay-Z's Armand de Brignac champagne and Rocawear fashion empire. This wasn't just personal animosity playing out in public, it was a philosophical battle over what path aspiring moguls should follow to achieve wealth and influence.
It's one thing when there's like people talking about each other in music, but there's behind the scenes business deals that a guy is getting involved with on the side, and it's not like you're gonna go public and be like, they tried to stop my vitamin water.
The implications of these behind the scenes business conflicts are genuinely significant and worth taking seriously. When major industry players attempt to interfere with each other's commercial ventures and business opportunities, the effects ripple outward unpredictably, potentially affecting countless other artists, employees, business partners, and stakeholders who depend on those enterprises for their livelihoods. Fat Joe's 2025 revelations added further important context to this dynamic, claiming his own feuds with both Jay-Z and 50 Cent cost him lucrative sneaker deals with Jordan and Reebok, indirectly illustrating just how interconnected these rivalries are with broader industry economics and how conflicts at the top can devastate opportunities for others. But perhaps the most compelling aspect of this entire saga is what it reveals about the fundamental nature of legacy and public perception in the social media age we all now inhabit. Jay-Z has spent decades carefully, meticulously constructing an image of unassailable success. The self-made billionaire, the cultural icon, the family man with the perfect wife, and beautiful children representing Black excellence at its finest. Every public appearance has been calibrated. Every business move has been strategic. Every carefully worded statement has contributed to this comprehensive narrative. And yet, here we are, with vintage concert footage from nearly 2 decades ago, suddenly becoming ammunition in an ongoing cultural battle. The internet never forgets anything, and it rarely forgives. Content that seemed completely innocuous at the time of its creation can be recontextualized, reinterpreted, and weaponized in ways that no amount of PR management or crisis communication can fully control or contain.
Well, the next day
I was eating Raisin Bran. Okay, I'm eating Raisin Bran. I got my daughter in my arm. I'm scrolling. Right? I see somebody screenshot your shit. Is Jay and the whole family at the Foster Fair. And
this anecdote perfectly captures the surreal, disorienting nature of how these stories unfold in the current media environment. One moment you're having breakfast with your child, enjoying a peaceful morning. The next moment you're scrolling through allegations and premiere photos, processing information that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago, and trying to make sense of it all. For the culture of hip-hop, so many artists record themselves extensively, and they probably, when they were recording themselves in 2005, never saw the year 2025 and how accessible that media would be to actually make cases for things, or to be used in ways completely unanticipated at the time of recording. The past has become a minefield. 50 Cent, for his part, seems perfectly content to continue his self-appointed role as the court jester of hip-hop's elite class, the one person willing to say what others won't, to ask questions that polite society carefully avoids, to keep stirring the pot relentlessly while while insisting he's just having fun and keeping things interesting.
Well, you're an ex, buddy. You're laughing at this.
And you're not worried at all.
No, why?
Because you don't got nothing.
I don't have it.
Whether this supreme confidence is warranted by his actual circumstances or merely bravado designed to project invincibility remains to be seen. The culture has a way of humbling those who consider themselves untouchable, and 50 Cent, for all his calculated distance from certain allegations and controversies, is not immune to the same forces of scrutiny and speculation that now swirl around his longtime rival. What we can say with certainty is this: the footage that resurfaced in 2025 has become something of a Rorschach test for how we view hip-hop's power structures and the people who inhabit them. Some see a playful moment of competitive energy between two extraordinarily talented artists pushing each other to be better. Others see coded messages, symbolic rituals, and evidence of hidden dynamics that shape the entire industry from behind closed doors. The rock symbol's origins are firmly rooted in entrepreneurial ambition and music industry milestones, evolving from a simple promotional gimmick into a global emblem of hip-hop success recognized around the world. While conspiracy theories persist with remarkable staying power, they lack substantiation and contradict Jay-Z's own detailed accounts of how and why the symbol was created. And yet, despite all the debunking and all the explanations, the theories persist. The footage circulates endlessly. The questions multiply faster than answers can be provided. New generations discover old clips and apply fresh interpretations. The culture watches, the culture waits, and the culture keeps asking questions that may never be answered satisfactorily. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.